Yo, what is up everyone? We'll be reviewing Mid-School DxD, guys. So without further ado, guys, wait, what did he say? This isn't the old account? Wait, you're telling me this is Bleach Unbound? We're supposed to be doing What If Naruto's Byakuya's Reincarnation Part 2? Wait, oh fuck. What if Naruto was Byakuya's Reincarnation Part 2? Where we left off last part was pretty much Naruto resting Mizuki and pretty much stopping some Genin from like taking the scroll of sealing. And now we're going to be going over the team placements. So pretty much Naruto would wake up the next day as he would wake up Hinata as Naruto would head over to the academy. Now once he would get there, pretty much he would walk in and sit down as a few minutes later Iruka would come in as he would start to explain to everyone what they'll be doing today. Or well, not what they'll be doing, but what is he going to tell them and all. As Iruka tells them what teams they're going to be on, with Naruto being on Team 7, obviously being Naruto, Sasuke, and this time Hinata. I don't really, usually I have Sakura, but I'm gonna have Hinata instead. So once Team 7 announced, pretty much I'm just gonna have Sakura on Team 8 since she has a lot of potential with Genjutsu. So since she's on Kurenai's team, that'll just be much easier. As what would happen is once the other teams are called out, a few minutes later the senseis would come in like Kurenai and Asuma and would pick up their teams relatively fast. But for Team 7, it was much longer, as we would then, about like 2 hours later, we would see the door open. Naruto and Hinata and Sasuke were just chilling, conversing amongst each other, as the door would open. A man with gravity-defying gray hair would walk in the room, thus this being Kakashi Hatake. Kakashi would introduce himself, say, hey, I'm your sensei, meet me on the roof. As he would then use the body flicker going on the roof. Naruto would use the flash step with Hinata using her own version of the body flicker as they would appear on the roof, while Sasuke, unfortunately, runs up the stairs. Now, when Sasuke gets up there, Kakashi will ask them to introduce themselves. Naruto wouldn't say, my name's Naruto Uzumaki. My likes, calligraphy, trading, and reading. My dislikes are those who have arrogance without proof of said claims. Like, for example, people who are deluded with strength. Not strength, but who delude themselves that they have strength, like God complexes and other mental diseases. And he would say his goal is to start a clan. Obviously, if you don't know, Byakuya is from the Kuchiki clan. He is more about that. So Naruto wouldn't really aspire to be Hokage as he did in the canonical timeline. Hinata would pretty much explain her goal. Her goal being obviously starting the clan with Naruto. Oh, that sounded sus. And she would introduce herself, saying her name, her likes, her dislikes, and her, like I said, her goal. Sasuke would go as he would have his usual goal of wanting to kill Itachi just as revenge. As pretty much Kakashi would be like, this is an interesting team, obviously it's not like having Sakura who's like simping at that point, or like Naruto who just wants to be Hokage. Even though that is an admirable goal, he just simply did it because he wanted attention. But pretty much what would happen next is Kakashi would explain to Team 7, telling them that, hey, we'll be having a test tomorrow. That'll be the true Genin test. Meet me there about 7 a.m. at Training Ground 7, and don't be late. and don't eat either or I'll make you throw it up. As he would then disperse into like a pile of leaves, as Team 7, or soon to be Team 7, would go back to their homes, with Naruto and Hinata going back to the Nabikaze estate to basically train for the rest of the day. Now we'll do a time skip to the next day. Naruto and Hinata had gotten up as they would head over to the training ground. Now once they would get there, they would patiently wait for Kakashi, as this time Naruto would bring a few bentos. It just seems in his character, and obviously Byakuya seems the one who can predict an event but he knows what's going to happen before said events, so it seems more logical for that to happen. So he would then hand the bentos to Hinata and Sasuke. As Sasuke, being hungry, he didn't care if Kakashi told him not to eat anything. He was really gobbling down, no homo. But pretty much what would happen is Kakashi would come a few hours later, as Team 7 looked relatively calm, which was weird. Usually he thought he'd get yelled at for being late or something like that, but they were all pretty neutral. As he would then start to explain to them the bell test. Obviously, no one will know what the bell test is. This bell test has been used for generations, from obviously the previous Hokage, and Jiraiya, like some of the just more known people in the village, or used former people of the life since they died and all. But pretty much Kakashi would explain to them what the test was about, obviously misleading them, saying that one of them would go back to the academy while only 2 of them would pass. So Kakashi would then get out the 2 bells, as he would then put them onto his pouch, or just hang them on his pants, as he would then say start. Naruto would unsheath his sword, as Hinata would form her twin lion fist, as Sasuke would then appear behind Kakashi. He saw Naruto and Hinata just staying there, and he thought it would have been weird for him to just run when they were standing there and fighting Kakashi. So Sasuke would then appear behind Kakashi, as he tries to do the Uchiha Taijutsu style on him, but it wouldn't really work. He pretty much aimed a kick at Kakashi catching it, but this is exactly what Sasuke wanted. He uses Kakashi's arm as a boost off, as he jumps off Kakashi's arm, jumps back, takes a huge deep breath before then exhaling. Fire style, fireball jutsu, as a huge fireball would form from the end of his mouth, as it would go right for Kakashi. As the copy ninja user would be kind of nervous at the fact that Sasuke could use fire nature at this young of an age, but he would quickly go back to his neutral look, as he would then do a earth style mud wall, as he would sense someone behind him, which is what led to him using the earth style mud wall, so he doesn't get but he doesn't get attacked from 2 different areas. As he put the mud wall, he turned around and took a kunai out, reacting and clashing with Naruto's blade. Naruto would congratulate Kakashi on being able to react to him, as he pretty much he clashed with him, leaving Kakashi open for guard, as Naruto would aim his finger at Kakashi's shoulder. Hado number 4. I said that right. Hado number 4, Byakuya. A huge lightning bolt would escape from Naruto's finger, as it would go right through Kakashi's shoulder, kind of stopping his nervous system for a minute. As Naruto would then stab his foot, he would be obviously paralyzed from the attack, as Naruto would take the bells before then ripping out his sword from Kakashi's foot, as he would then throw the bells to Sasuke and Hinata as they would pass, as Naruto would tell Kakashi that the whole point of the test was to pretty much take the bells and work as a team, which they did. As obviously, if you're wondering, wait, Hinata didn't do much, what do you mean? Hinata has been absorbing Kakashi's chakra from a distance, so that's why Naruto could get the jump on him, and his Sharingan didn't catch Naruto's movement or catch it as well. So after the fight, Kakashi would announce them as Team 7, as Naruto and Hinata would go back to their home. Now, pretty much we'll do a time skip for about a month. In this 1 month time skip, Naruto and Hinata and the rest of Team 7 would be doing pretty easy D-rank missions, like doing chores, capturing the same cat, due to the cat not liking its owner, as it would constantly run away, and they would be put on the mission. Pretty much, the gate guards would reminisce, like every time they brought back the cats and they would be meeting the gate guards would tell them about how they used to do D-rank missions until they got put on guard duty. Obviously, I feel bad for those two tunings, but Team 7 would be annoyed of all the D-rank missions, as even Naruto would feel the same. Even though he usually likes just doing his duty and getting it over with, Naruto himself found this jobs really tedious, as pretty much he would go to Hiruzen, as he would request and almost plead for Team 7 to get a C-rank mission, as what would happen is they would receive it. They would then be handed a scroll, which would then contain information on the mission. They were meant to pretty much escort a bridge builder to the land of the waves. Now, obviously, Team 7, they'd be really pumped up for this mission. Naruto would just, keep to himself. And what would happen is, Tazuna would walk in, as he didn't really find much imperfections. I'm just going to say this here, Team 7 in this timeline, any one of the Konoha 12s, they're all 16. Now, Naruto, Hinata, and Sasuke have not been slacking off during the 1 month of doing D-rank missions. After they did D-rank missions, they all practiced as a team, as Sasuke would then, master his Sharingan, being able to awaken it at will, getting the 2-point Sharingan, which you can acquire by training. Then, obviously, he would master his fire style jutsus, like fire style Grand Fireball Jutsu, fire style Phoenix Flower Jutsu, and other small, like maybe B rank fire style jutsu. While Hinata had gotten more into absorbing chakra from a longer range and starting to learn more of her own taijutsu style away from the Juken style. What would happen next is that Tazuna would really kind of not say much. He knows that Team 7 could actually, protect him. So, they were pretty confident in that. So, what would happen next is they would pretty much get ready to go on the C-rank mission, as they'd meet up at the village gates, ready to go, with Naruto pretty much and oh man, I just blanked out for a second. But pretty much Team 7 would leave along with Tazuna, as they'd be walking through the land of fire right about until the borders. Now, once they would get into that general direction, that's when they came upon something suspicious. They had passed a puddle. This puddle really just gave a weird vibe to Naruto. It didn't seem like an actual real puddle, since it was scorching hot and it hasn't rained in weeks, maybe even a month. And this time of area, it's in the summer, so it'd be pretty rare for it to rain, as they see a puddle just chilling there, as they wouldn't see any puddle in the actual radius. So Naruto would be suspicious of this. Naruto, realizing that someone's in the water puddle, would appear in front of it, and as he would do, Hado number 63, Raikuho, as a yellow arc of lightning would escape from his hand, as it would start to electrify the water, becoming a conductor for the water, as demon brothers inside there would start electrifying to death, as the water would disperse, as the demon brothers would be there with saliva gurgling out of their mouth. That sounded sus, but pretty much, obviously, they would see that they're dead. So Naruto would put his hand over their head, taking information from both of them using a sort of like a memory fighting Kido. As then he would get up and kind of confront Tazuna. Tazuna had lied about the ranking of the mission, as obviously Tazuna would be like, what do you mean? As Naruto would say, well, these ninjas are way stronger. I even hear mentions of Zabuza being there. As Kakashi his eyes would widen. He was in shock. Zabuza, an S-rank ninja, only on a C rank? As pretty much Tazuna would fess up, saying that he lied about the mission because he couldn't pay for an A-rank mission. Obviously, Team 7 would still keep going, since Naruto would feel some obligation towards Tazuna to liberate the Land of the Waves. Now, once they would get to the Land of the Waves, they pretty much took a boat ride from one of Tazuna's associates, as pretty much what would happen next is they'd be over in the Land of the Waves. Naruto would be walking over as he'd feel something. The mist around them, even though it looked beautiful and elegant, it would start to fog up. It would become more distasteful at that point, as a chakra would start to form itself in the mist. This pretty much showed Naruto seeing someone's using a mist, jutsu that makes the mist the more abundant. Obviously, this being the hidden mist jutsu. Naruto would then tell whoever is out there to come out and stop using these cowardly techniques, as Naruto would unsheath his sword as he was going to say scatter, until he'd feel something coming towards him. Obviously, this would interrupt his incantation, as his sword would come flying through the clearing. Naruto would see this as he would then finish the technique. Scatter. Senbon Sakura. His blade, something weird would happen. It would glow as it would then disappear. It would then disappear into flower petals, as Naruto would then use the Tsuba to basically control where they went, with him pretty much making a wall of Senbon Sakura, blocking the executioner's blade as it would be reflected off, lodging itself into a tree. Zabuza would land on it as he would say, that's a pretty interesting technique. So Kakashi, you're finally taking these little kids on a mission here? I didn't know you'd fall so low. As Kakashi would then say, Zabuza, it's been a while, hasn't it? As Zabuza would scratch his head saying, yeah, talk about the whole Great Ninja War ago. As pretty much what happened is, if this didn't happen, it did happen now. In like the events of Naruto and this what if, Kakashi and Zabuza had fought when Kakashi was a teenager while Zabuza was much older. But Kakashi and Zabuza fought as pretty much they would survive each other's attacks, as each would be surprised about how others would survive their techniques. Like Kakashi would try to use his Chidori, which just didn't work against Zabuza, while Zabuza tried to use his Executioner blade to cut off Kakashi's head, which didn't work either. So they would respect each other, as now they were finally meeting again, hopefully ending their skirmish permanently. So they would start clashing, with Kakashi unfortunately being put into a water prison jutsu. Now, in this distraction, Naruto would have used Bakudo number 26, Kyoku, as he would have started hiding in light itself. Like he would have made a pocket of space as he would have hid inside of it, coming up behind Kakashi, where like Zabuza is holding the water prison jutsu while his other clones are fighting Sasuke and Hinata. So pretty much what would happen is Hinata and Sasuke, they'd hold their own. Hinata would easily take out the clones with either absorbing their chakra with her Twin Line Fist, or just shutting off their chakra networks, ultimately diffusing the water clone. Naruto would then be behind Zabuza, as then he would appear, as then he would slice down his arm. Zabuza would then feel a gush of blood escape from his now lost arm, as he would have backed away. He had seen Naruto, he was just there. How did he even get there? He didn't even sense a presence. As pretty much Naruto would then say, it's funny, You're an assassin, yet someone sneaks up on you? It's a bit ironic if I do say so myself. Quite a fitting ending, wouldn't you say? As Zabuza be fitting ending, you think I'm gonna die here? As Naruto would then say, that's exactly what I think. As he would then say, scatter, Senmon Zakura, Kageyoshi. Naruto's blade would pretty much disperse into that of his Shikai release, as it would go right for Zabuza. Obviously, Zabuza would try to use anything to defend against it, like water style, ninja art, water style, wall to wall, but the blades would cut right through. Zabuza would widen his eyes as he was turned into sludges of flesh, desecrated, as Naruto would have a tear fall out of his eyes. He'd never done this before, and he had ultimately felt disgusted. As in the middle of this, he would respect Zabuza, for he was almost, he had to respect everyone he cut down. As Naruto would feel a presence behind him, Haku had emerged behind him to try to pierce a senbone into his spinal cord to paralyze him, and one to his neck to cut off his, lungs into points. So Naruto would then use Bakudo number 81, Danku. As Haku would try to stab him, a shield would appear in between them, as Haku's hand would then pretty much hit that as it would shatter. Naruto would then turn around and swing his blade at Haku, as he would then swing upwards, as Haku's neck and everything up would then be sliced down. So for a few seconds, Haku's face would have just split in half, as Naruto would have ended both of their lives. Naruto would then pretty much bury them, just as out of respect, as a few minutes later, obviously Tazuna would, come along, as he'd be ready to build a bridge, as they would start building for the few hours they have, until they'd feel a presence. They would then look to the right as Gato's men showed up. There was about maybe a few thousand of them, and everyone was wondering how we're even gonna defeat them. As Naruto would then say, worry not, I shall defeat them just by myself. Is that okay with you, Kakashi? Kakashi would still be a little out of breath, but he would nod his head. Naruto would walk forward, as he would then say, I don't even need to do an incantation. He would then suddenly point his finger into the air as a pink aura would surround him, as he would then say, Hado no Kyuju Kuroitsuki. As a purple box would start to form around all of the men, as once it would close, you would just hear scraping metal, like metal against metal, as obviously one would cringe at the sound, but once the box would disappear, you would just see arms, legs, organs falling out, as Naruto's technique would successfully work. Naruto would walk through all the bodies, as he would come upon Gato, who was shaking in fear. Naruto had purposely not involved Gato in the Hado number 90. He wanted to slice him down himself. Naruto would then see Inari. Naruto would then call Inari over, as he would hand him his sword, telling him to cut down Gato. Inari with his hands would start to shake, as he would then slice down, ending Gato's life. After this, Naruto would then liberate the city, as everyone would call him heroes, and the bridge would be named after him. And pretty much that'll be the end of this episode for the Land of the Waves arc. I hope you guys liked it, but yeah, part 3 should be coming up most likely tomorrow. Without further ado, guys, have a good day.
Again.